the leaders of the 20 largest economies in the world participate in the G20, and they meet annually or about once or twice a year all over the world. And they've been in London, and they've been in, they were in Seattle, and they've been in Toronto, and they've been all around the world, the G20 anyway. Pittsburgh was selected. And with that, they, as we understand, it wasn't even the first choice. The city of Chicago was selected, and at the last minute, there was a decision that it couldn't be done there. And so with only 3 months' notice, and this event takes a year and a half to plan, with only 3 months' notice, Pittsburgh was selected. So to go from scratch, to be able to put together a world event with the 20 top world leaders, with their entire delegations coming to Pittsburgh and southwestern Pennsylvania. Here you had this major 2.5-day event, and it was in the downtown portion of the city of Pittsburgh at the Pittsburgh Convention Center, and at which time the security package for each and every one of these world leaders, the President of the United States security package is phenomenal, and what takes place to protect our president, and rightfully so. But the other world leaders from Russia, from China, from India, from Great Britain, and Japan, Germany, France, they're all here. Their security packages are immense. Plus, they have a number of their corporations that are in the southwestern Pennsylvania area, so there was tremendous interest that even when they came, they wanted to visit their particular corporations that they had, some part in their country or something else. So they were participating in meetings, they were traveling the whole region, they were doing this, they were doing that, and they were visiting this landmark or whatever the case may be. Literally, the planning of it then was around the clock for 3 months to make this event a safe event for all. But one of the biggest impacts was literally the security package required with all the due diligence, the shutting down of the Pittsburgh downtown business district for security reasons, and literally the office buildings, all the corporations, the small businesses, the middle businesses, the transportation and everything. That said, with all that was the coalition, with the things that they had built, with their notification system, with over 5,000 businesses in there, their respect in the community already partnered with the G20 Planning and Security Committee and everything, and they were actually the vehicle that the committee used to communicate with the business sector. I mean, there's nobody better than having a respected business person to speak to another business person because they can talk the same language. It was phenomenal, the information that they were able to put out, the exchange, the dialogue, the feedback, the back and forth, and so forth. And really, it was an imposition at points in time to have businesses closed down and so forth. But it went very, very well, and it was because of the coalition and how the business community and government came together to make us a safe, world-class event. And as it turned out to be a huge success, very, very safe, minimal amount of damage, a minimal number of injuries and so forth. And in previous areas around the world, there had been millions and multi-millions of dollars of damage and huge numbers of injuries and arrests and so forth. And the Pittsburgh event was nothing like that. It was handled much better than most areas, and due in part because of the business community working with government, and the coalition had a lot to do with that.
That's a great example. Bob, now at Pima, how do you, from a state perspective, how are you looking to leverage, or how do you leverage this organization now with the broader wearing the bigger hat, if you will, from a statewide perspective, what are some of the strategies you're looking to leverage this type of organization?
Well, without question, we know that particular model works. And in all fairness, there are other initiatives out there across the country that we are aware of that there have been good successes with the private sector and the business sector working closely with government. And we all have responsibility in working together, again, especially to help those people that are in need. But the Pittsburgh Regional Coalition for Homeland Security and what they have done and the model that they have put together is a proven model, and the tools, and they've been able to do it at a very good cost, and so if you use that as more or less the template, and we can then grow that across the Commonwealth. The models already exist is to expand that and also incorporate some of the some work that's been done in the southeast portion of the Commonwealth, as well as in even the South Central. There's a lot of pockets of little good things. We want to leverage that. The economic climate is such that you just can't go out there anymore, and we can't afford to have warehouses full of millions of dollars worth of supplies that every 3 years it expires and so forth. I mean, we do have to have a certain amount of capacity, but you can no longer afford those kinds of things. Budgets don't afford you to have huge numbers of employees anymore. Even in the business sector, they don't have that. But through memorandums of agreement, through partnerships, through team building between government and the private sector and so forth, to know where you can go for these things and who can bring things to the table during those times and how you can get them and how you can leverage them and so forth. I think that will position the Commonwealth much better for the future under the current climate as there is. And, of course, anything is subject to change. We're very fortunate in Pennsylvania in one regard that we do not see the magnitude of some of the disasters that some of the other states experience more frequently. We don't get direct hit hurricanes, even though that we are subject to the remnants of hurricanes. We don't get the monster tornadoes per se that maybe the Midwest gets. However, we get our fair share. We've already had 28 this year in 2011. Fortunately, none have been larger than F2. We do get our fair share of flooding events. Many times, some flash flooding, many of the times that there are pre-announced floods in regards to just the rising of the waters, and you can sort of look at it, you can move. We don't get earthquakes. We do get our fair share of things, but out there at the same time, we're very fortunate that we don't have to deal with those types of things, but we have a heavy industrial base. We have our huge transportation networks that there can be accidents at any given time out there in the community, and that will really press our community very quickly and risk lives and the property and the environment. And we have the growing industries here now with the Marcellus and the Utica Shale industries, and dealing with those types of nuances now as they're incorporated in our day-to-day lives and here and so forth. I think that having this particular type of a relationship that we can bring people to the table. Half the battle in dealing with an emergency is getting to know the people on the first when you get the call. And if you're exchanging business cards, I know it's cliche in the business, it's used a lot of times, but in all seriousness, in my 39 years of doing this, events go so much better, and people suffering and pain and the saving of lives and the minimization of property and environmental damage, and the recovery especially goes so much better, or you're so much more successful, or the periods of times are so more greatly shortened by in advance if you know the personalities and you understand who you're dealing with and you build those kinds of relationships on the front end. Then whenever that emergency call comes in, somebody dials 911 and says, we now have this had just occurred. It's a matter of calling up and saying, hello, Joe, this is Bob. You know, this happened. Can you send me, 2 forklifts and your driver's here? We got to move supplies. We need food for these people. We need refrigeration. We need mass care. We need this. Can you help me out? And it's like one of those things is, sure, Bob, we're on it. We'll get it to you. This way, those things go so much smoother and everything along those lines. That's where we need to be, is through partnerships, and I can't no longer afford to be. It's us and them. And again, government cannot take care of everybody on moment's notice when these large-scale disasters occur. It needs to be team and teamwork, and working as a team. Everybody can contribute, and at the end of the day, we owe it to each other. We're all on this earth as one, and we got to take care of each other during those critical times. And our residents here in the Commonwealth are extraordinarily giving in their own right, people helping people during the mass disasters and emergencies. And we want to leverage our business community and all those folks working with us as well to bring all their expertise and all their capabilities to the table so they can be coordinated in one effort.
This initiative really represents a great snapshot on a local level of how public and private organizations can come together and share common mission, goals, funding, approaches, many things. And this is a marvelous example of an integrated planning environment. So with that, I wanted to introduce Ms. Kelly Barsick. Kelly?
Okay, thanks for having me on today. The Business Coalition really started from DHS approaching Westinghouse in 2004. We had Hurricane Ida that hit, and a lot of small businesses were just devastated. They were unable to reopen. They didn't have business continuity. They didn't know their emergency responders. They didn't know how the emergency response system worked. And so DHS approached Westinghouse and said, we need to start some collaboration within the Region 13, which is actually the 13 counties in southwestern Pennsylvania. So you'll see here a list of who was initially involved, from what company, and you'll see Chief Bob Poole, who was the Region 13. He was the Allegheny County Emergency Coordinator and the chair of the Region 13 Task Force. So we're bringing him on board as, the public sector side, and bringing that into the private corporations. You'll see First Energy, UPMC, Dr. Lauren Ross was the first chairman of the board, coming together and building this board of directors to begin the Business Coalition. Implementing the mission. We had a vision statement, making Pittsburgh the safest in America. For communication programs, we have the web portal, which we take very seriously and we update as much as possible. We have our blast email system, where we can send out newsletters or any kind of information on business continuity. We have our coalition newsletter. We're in newspapers, magazines, TV, radio. We partnered with Lamar to have billboards up. Come to our website and learn about coalitions. We have disaster planning materials. We have our website where you can go and order disaster planning kits, which can be a CD for a pandemic or just general disaster. We have our resource book, which contain any kind of standing resources that we can take from other websites.